Operation Northwind was the last major German offensive of World War II on the Western Front. It began on 31 December 1944 in Alsace and Lorraine in northeastern France, and ended on 25 January. Objectives. In a briefing at his military command complex at Adlerhorst, Adolf Hitler declared in his speech to his division commanders on 28 December 1944, "This attack has a very clear objective, namely the destruction of the enemy forces. There is not a matter of prestige involved here. It is a matter of destroying and exterminating the enemy forces wherever we find them." The goal of the offensive was to break through the lines of the U.S. 7th Army and French First Army in the Upper Vosges Mountains and the Alsatian Plain, and destroy them. This would leave the way open for Operation Dentist, a planned major thrust into the rear of the U.S. Third Army which would lead to the destruction of that army. Offensive. On 31 December 1944, German Army Group G, commanded by General Oberst Johannes Blaskowitz, and Army Group Upper Rhine, commanded by Reichsführer SS Heinrich Himmler, launched a major offensive against the thinly stretched, 110 km long front line held by the U.S. 7th Army. Operation Nordwind soon had the understrength U.S. 7th Army in dire straits. The 7th Army, at the orders of U.S. General Dwight D. Eisenhower, had sent troops, equipment, and supplies north to reinforce the American armies in the Ardennes involved in the Battle of the Bulge. On the same day that the German army launched Operation Nordwind, the Luftwaffe committed almost 1,000 aircraft in support. This attempt to cripple the Allied air forces based in northwestern Europe was known as Operation Baseplate. Bodenplatte failed without having achieved any of its key objectives. The initial attack was conducted by 3 corps of the German First Army of Army Group G, and by the 9th of January, the 39th Panzer Corps was heavily engaged as well. By the 15th of January at least 17 German divisions from Army Group G and Army Group Upper Rhine, including the 6th SS Mountain, 17th SS Panzer Grenadier, 21st Panzer, and 25th Panzer Grenadier divisions were engaged in the fighting. Another, smaller, attack was made against the French positions south of Strasbourg, but it was finally stopped. The U.S. 6th Corps, which bore the brunt of the German attacks, was fighting on 3 sides by the 15th of January, with casualties mounting, and running severely short on reinforcements, tanks, ammunition, and supplies. Eisenhower, fearing the outright destruction of the U.S. 7th Army, rushed already battered divisions hurriedly relieved from the Ardennes, southeast over 100 kilometers, to reinforce the 7th Army. Their arrival was delayed, and the Americans were forced to withdraw to defensive positions on the south bank of the Moder River on 21 January. The German offensive finally drew to a close on 25 January, the same day that the reinforcements began to arrive from the Ardennes. Strasbourg was saved, but the Colmar pocket was a danger which had to be eliminated. Results. The 6th Corps suffered 14,716 casualties. The total number of casualties for the U.S. 7th Army as a whole remains unclear, but is estimated to amount to approximately 3,000 killed, 9,000 wounded, and 17,000 sick and injured. Operation Nordwind, although costly for both sides, was ultimately unsuccessful, and the failure of the offensive allowed the U.S. 7th Army to contain the German push towards Strasbourg. Any gains attained by the offensive were negated by the later Operation Undertone. In February, with the assistance of the U.S. 21st Corps, the French First Army collapsed the Colmar pocket and completely cleared the west bank of the Rhine River of German forces in the area south of Strasbourg. Bibliography. Engler, Richard. The Final Crisis. Combat in Northern Alsace, January 1945. Abidjan Press. 1999. ISBN 978-0-9666389-1-2. Smith and Clark, Riviera to the Rhine, the official U.S. Army history of the 7th U.S. Army, Nordwind and the U.S. 44th Division *, battle history of the 44th ID.